Hello everyone, welcome to Organizational Behavior. So in this course, we are going to explore something extremely important for professional life. Not just what people do in organizations, but why they behave the way they do. Because in workplaces, success is rarely determined by technical knowledge alone. It is also shaped by how we think, feel, communicate, respond to pressure, and work with others as well. Okay, and that's what exactly organizational behavior helps us understand. So, maybe let's begin with a simple story. So, the tale of two engineers. Imagine the situation. Two software engineers join a company. Hmm? Same qualification, same role, same salary, same starting point. But after a few years, their careers look very different. One grows steadily, earns trust, becomes a team lead. The other struggles, feels overlooked, and gradually disengages. Now, there we can pose an interesting question. Was the difference technical skill? Often no. Here, the real difference was behavior. How they handled feedback, how they communicated, how they worked with teams. This is where organizational behavior become important. So what is organizational behavior? Organizational behavior is the study of how people behave in organizations. So it helps us understand why people react differently to the same situation, why intelligent people sometimes make poor decisions at work, why teams fail even when everyone is talented, and why some individuals grow faster in organizations even with average technical skills. So OB is not about judging people, it is about understanding people, including ourselves, in professional environment. Because once we understand behavior, we can improve it. Many students ask a very practical question. Why should we study organizational behavior? After all, technical knowledge will get us jobs. That's true. Technology may get you into an organization, but behavior determines how long you stay and how far you grow. Promotions are not based only on performance. That's something which you should focus on. They also depend on how people experience working with you. In fact, most workplace problems are people problems, not technical problems. Understanding behavior helps us respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. And that makes a huge difference in professional life. So, which is why you can see what I've listed: technology versus behavior, beyond performance, people problems, and thoughtful response. Organizational behavior helps us develop several professional skills. So, I have listed all of them here. The first being team effectiveness, which means the ability to work well with others. Okay, so which is why I've used the term collaborative environment. Second, handling pressure, because workplaces often involve deadlines and expectations. Third, clear communication, which means expressing ideas effectively. Fourth, taking leadership, which means accepting responsibility when situations demand it. And finally, making rational decisions instead of emotional reactions that basically appear in complex situations. So these are not technical skills, right? But they are career defining skills. Now, core concept is perception. Let's begin with one of the most powerful concepts in organizational behavior, which is perception. So, perception is how we interpret the world around us. Now, imagine a manager giving feedback like you need to improve. Good feedback, right? Constructive feedback, actually. Now, one employee thinks, okay, I will work on it. But another thinks, oh, I'm not good enough. So, what can you see? The feedback is the same, but the interpretation is different. That difference is perception. Perception may not always reflect reality, but it strongly influences behavior. Now think of a recent feedback you received. Did you interpret it positively or negatively? Could someone else have interpreted it differently? Think. Now the core concept is attitude. Attitude is the mindset with which we approach work. Two people may face the same task. One sees it as an opportunity to learn, another sees it as a burden. The task is the same, but the experience is different. Because attitude changes how we experience work. Now pause and ask yourself here, what is your attitude towards challenging tasks? So if the perspective changes, the experience changes too. Now let's talk about another core concept, which is communication. In organizations, silence does not always mean agreement, right? But we can definitely misunderstand silence for agreeing sometimes. Sometimes people may stay silent because they feel hesitant, they feel unsure, or afraid of judgment. But poor communication creates misunderstanding. Many workplace conflicts begin with unspoken thoughts. Now think about a situation where you stayed silent when you should have spoken. Thought? Okay. So what stopped you? And later what happened because of that silence? Please reflect. Communication is not just speaking. It is also clarifying thoughts before assumptions grow too much. Next core concept is leadership. Leadership is often misunderstood. Many people think leadership means designation, like my boss, my team leader, my HOD, my principal. But in reality, leadership is behavior. Leadership appears most clearly when things go wrong. That's an important point. When problems occur, some people blame others. But what does leaders do? They take responsibility. Leadership begins when excuses stop and accountability starts. Now think of a situation. where someone took responsibility for a problem. How did that affect the team? That is leadership in action. Next core concept is stress. So we all know deadlines change behavior. Okay. But stress does not create behavior, it actually reveals behavior. So some people become calm and focused under pressure, others become anxious or reactive. How we respond to stress tells a lot about our professional maturity. Understanding stress helps us manage reactions rather than letting pressure control us. Now ask yourself, how do you usually behave under tight deadlines? May it be the assignments, may it be the internships, may it be any projects that you're supposed to submit. And what does that reveal about your stress management style? Think about that. Then you'll be able to reflect. Next core concept is group behavior. Now consider this group behavior. Groups will sometimes prioritize comfort, right, over honesty. When everyone agrees just to avoid conflict, decisions may become weak. Healthy conflict may feel uncomfortable, but it often leads to better decisions. So, in professional environments, the goal is not to avoid conflict. It shouldn't be. The goal must be to manage conflict constructively. Now, think about your group projects. Do you avoid conflict or address it openly? And what has been the outcome? This is a very good reflection to do. Now, we see how these concepts connect. Perception influences attitudes, attitudes influence communication, communication affects leadership, leadership shapes group behavior, and stress influence how all these elements interact. So, organizational behavior is not a set of isolated topics. It is a system of interacting behavioral patterns. There are four important insights from organizational behavior. First, understanding behavior is more useful than judging behavior. Okay. Second, self-awareness is the starting point of professional growth. Third, behavior can be learned and improved. This has to be through practice. And fourth, context matters because same person may behave differently in different environments. So, OB encourages awareness and growth rather than criticism. Okay, now the real purpose of OB. It's simple. It is to help us become easier to work with and more effective in organizations. So, it is not about perfection. It is about awareness, it is about reflection and continuous improvement. When people understand behavior, workplaces become more collaborative and productive. So, your journey in organizational behavior begins with four steps. Observe the behavioral patterns in yourself and others. Reflect on experiences and reactions. Practice better behavioral responses and gradually grow into a more effective professional. Because in the long run, technology may get you higher, but behavior determines how far you go. That's being positioned. Okay, so that completes our module 1. Please reflect on all the points which I have asked you to. Thank you.